Welcome to another episode of Middle Ground with JLE, L.L.C, where we treat you like family on location from beautiful downtown Detroit. I have another great guest for you. For first, that's the theme song, Detroit Love, from my first album, The JLE Experience. I own the music and the copyright, so Facebook don't mute nothing. All right, and here we go. Got it. Another great show, another great guest. Proper introduction for her. We have the psychotherapist, trauma informed specialist, and owner, CEO of the Anger Doctor, Balanced Life, Mind, and Well Being, Dr. Jan M. Newby. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Jeff. Thank
All
you.
right, ask a few questions about you, how you got here. First question being, what led you to this path?
I love working with people. I will say that as a child, I began teaching piano, had such a love playing piano. And as I was working with persons on lessons, I
Mm-hmm.
realized that later on is when I received what I would say a calling from the Lord of just as a teacher.
Okay.
Well, after I pursued to go in the direction of actually teaching in a classroom, then it was as though he said, "Oh, I'm not that type of teacher." And I said, "Okay, so what type of teacher
Uh-huh.
um, am I called to?" And I did start as an entrepreneur. Again, my first business was as a traveling piano teacher. But then I also had
Okay.
started a small company called L.L.C Professional Development, where I was helping
Okay.
persons to professionally develop. Well, I found out that persons I would help with personal development actually needed, or professional development, I should say, actually needed
Mm-hmm.
personal development. So
Oh,
then
wow.
I went on to complete an undergrad degree in health science, thinking that, okay, I'll help people with learning how to eat, and dietetics wasn't an area either because I realized I didn't like science, and you need to know a lot of math and science when
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
are
lot of stuff to learn.
attention. Yeah, all the numbers, calculations, and
Ooh-wee.
so I said, okay, so what next? And then I went on further to um, pursuit of a graduate degree as a professional
Okay.
licensed counselor. As I got into the field, I realized that it was more of a really a love of an interest because of first the of course the academic training of it, but when I began to enter
Mm-hmm.
into the field of it, and I was as a seeing real human beings that have real life situations going on, I
Mm-hmm.
said, yeah, okay, Lord, I hear you. This is it. This is the direction. And as I began to work with persons, I also went further into the field and found that there's a lot of hurting people. And I
Okay.
understood that through that, having an understanding on how to give us some tools, I went more into trauma and a lot of research in trauma. So as I went
Mm-hmm.
further, I became a trauma informed specialist. So now simultaneously, I'm a psychotherapist, a trauma informed specialist, but then went on to pursue my doctorate as well in actually education, but working with people with careers. So I first started a professional development company, tied it into the educational field with working with people
Mm-hmm.
that were in transition. So maybe midlife transitioning. And so through my field as a
Okay.
psychotherapist, I realized there was a lot of hurting people that actually was having work life balance. So it all tied together. And so I continue the actual journey now as a doctor in the
Okay.
field and working with persons. So that was a long answer, but that's how I got here.
Oh, no problem. This is the show about you. That's not long at all. It's just right.
Thanks.
So, what is the Anger Doctor Balanced Life Mind and Well-Being Company and the services you provide?
Nice. That's great. So as I went on into the field of counseling, a professor of mine actually said to
Hmm.
me, "Okay, what area of counseling do you believe you would be most effective in?" And so as I looked into how to help persons dealing with different through individual, through couples, and I found that people were angry.
Hmm. Oh,
So
wow.
people were angry, but that's an emotion. So, but
Hmm.
the anger doctor came about through my old professor, and then I went ahead and took on being able
Okay.
to assist persons with anger management. And I would get persons coming from court appointed and
Hmm.
having to have anger management. And I did look at the whole, there is an actual whole training that I do in anger management. But then also there was this other side where I says, so after they go through a treatment process with anger management, then what about when they're on the other side? Then that's where the whole idea of balanced life came from. And as I began to look into balanced life, I also
Hmm.
looked at having a balanced mind and then overall well being. So then their hints was the anger doctor, balanced life, mind, and well being. And that I have pursued and continued on as even now the balanced life coach and helping to coach
Okay.
persons with acquiring a balanced life.
Okay. So, and the services that someone would get from your awesome company.
Thank you. So the services persons would actually have the opportunity to acquire from coming in as a client, as a patient, as needing consulting, would
Okay.
be individual counseling, or sometimes
Okay.
persons request couples counseling, and persons also would like sometimes career development
Nice.
and consulting and also work life balance. So I have a whole program called 365 Project 365, where it helps persons go through a 90-day program. And at the conclusion of the program, they finish out with a life plan. And what the life plan would do is help them actually reboot. So, and actually creating this program, by the
Hmm.
way, I have a book out called Making the
Awesome.
Decision to Reboot Your Life in 90 Days. So it is an actual program, but there's also a book that's on the market that is developed for a person to also use if they did not want to have the program of the 90 days. But the whole idea of the 90 days is to help a person look at their whole personality as
Hmm.
well as their professionalism,
Hmm.
and also looking at many areas that they may need help in to
Hmm.
redevelop
Okay.
themselves and also eventually get to a level of conviction and ultimately a whole level of behavior change. Hence, and then there would be the development plan that would
Okay.
be created, which is the life plan. So
Awesome.
I love doing the coaching because it gives persons an idea of how they can come in and not look at the whole idea of, oh, I'm going to get therapy, I'm going to a counselor.
Yeah.
It's more
There's a
of
stigma on that.
now
Like, I
is
don't
the
need
time.
help. I ain't got no issues, but there's nothing wrong to unpack with someone. to get you better,
Right.
whatever it takes.
Yes, absolutely. And people I've worked with really like the idea of being able to be coached as well as help with the
Hmm.
management of once they are coached and how to maintain the areas that they are more strengthened in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, your title alone from a lot of stuff you do is amazing.
Thank you.
Trauma informed specialist. That's a lot. I
Yes.
know you have seen
Oh,
a lot with that.
that's a whole nother side. I apologize. Um,
I'm not probably gonna talk about
I
all that. This is all about you.
Well, I mentioned the part about the balanced life, but the trauma, I work with a lot of victims of
Okay.
domestic violence or homicide survivors, persons that have
No.
experienced a loss and
Okay.
through grief. And so it is a lot of traumatization, victimization, and homicide is that whole other side of the trauma. And so persons may have experienced sexual assault, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, and have been traumatized, and will come in to see me on those different levels. And that's a whole nother side. That's more of the long term care
Okay.
that
What
I provide as well.
what led you to go into that direction to help people? 'Cause that's a lot that
Again,
goes on over there.
yeah, yeah. And so again, it became a love of being able to see how I can help persons, and more than ever, I would say, even with COVID-19, people
Oh
have been
yeah.
experiencing trauma from
That took
if,
top off. What's really
yeah,
going on with people? They can't have it at the club no more. They got to deal with it.
everyone has experienced in the world have
Hmm.
experienced trauma and a heightened level of anxiety. Um,
Hmm.
so now um, I do mindfulness groups with
Hmm.
people to help them with post traumatic stress disorder. Um, and again, I work with a whole spectrum of people from
Okay.
individual life issues, relationships issues, if they have diagnoses from mental illness or anxiety or depression or bipolar or schizophrenia, the whole spectrum
Okay.
I've had opportunity to work with.
Now, how long ago did you do your book?
My book developed initially in 2011 and it evolved
Okay.
in 2017 because there was the use of the book and it went over so well. I don't take it lightly, and I'm so thankful that it had went over so well that more and more persons would come in to see me that really uh, when I give the um, what I would say the solution to people of first having the mindset to even think about making a decision and coming to a place of saying, okay, I'm going to make a decision to get unstuck
Hmm.
is you may be at a place where you feel as though, okay, I'm not moving one way or the other. What is that? Or how can I break loose almost and add something more to me so that I can maybe do better, be a better me, or even go into being who I believe I should be. There may be some areas have been missed. Um, so rebooting their life, it became more of it was even at one point a talk show,
Okay.
as well as there were many trainings that had went on, conferences that had went on that
Hmm.
talked about helping persons to reboot. So I truly enjoyed that process during that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kept hearing the sound out here. I'm looking like, what is that?
What's the sound?
Wait a minute. Sound like something was being moved around. Like, okay, I don't hear nobody
Is it?
footsteps.
Are you okay?
Like, what's going on? Yeah, I'm just hey, I'm from Detroit, man. You look around like, what's that? Oh, we good.
Who is somebody there with you?
No, someone walked by earlier, but
Okay.
it sound maybe it was the is a refrigerator out here or something. Maybe it was that doing it.
It might be the ice.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just like, okay.
It might be the ice maker,
I was
baby.
Cooley, man. Cooley taught you. So what's that? All right, we good. Okay, you got the book. What has been the impact of your company so far that you've seen?
I have grown where I would say my clientele is. I'm thankful to God. It has really expanded. I've had the opportunity to have three different locations, from mostly working with the hospital and doing what I love there, of course, with the homicide, the traumatization, victimization, as well as in the different office locations, of having people come in, the different populations that come in, from working with men and women, young people. I'm just helping hurting people
Okay.
and hurting people heal.
Now has this crossed paths with helping law enforcement in what you do?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. I've had the opportunity to train law enforcement, work with the DPD as well as state troopers, and
Hmm.
helping to train them with having empathy and working with the citizens and being able to see another side
Okay.
with citizens, and that has been wonderful work. And I've also worked with veterans, and I
Okay.
love working with the veterans. And so, different areas, different populations, women, and like I said, I love working with the women, men, doing
Hmm.
substance abuse groups, working with recovery groups, and again the homicide survivor groups,
Hmm.
women issue groups. Um, Real Men Talk is another area that I work with men on doing a discussion a couple of times a month, and
Okay.
having real men just come in, have discussions about real life issues and concerns they may have. And that's really good. I love that opportunity as well.
Okay. What would you say has been the challenges on this journey?
I would say the challenge has been, I know that God is in control. And I would hear when persons
All the
would
time.
come to me and they believe there's no way out. So when I have a person that is experiencing suicidal ideation, those cases, I look to God and I ask God to take over, because one area I don't like to hear is when a person completes, and what that means is they've actually completed that person. A person can come to me with suicidal ideation, and immediately there is hopefully the hope that they're going to be given, so that they don't obviously complete,
Hmm.
and different family members have to be left to see that. So I
Okay.
won't say that it's been more challenging, but that is the type of cases that I don't like to see. Um,
Hmm.
it, but it is still the work and part of the passion that I do have, and that is a major area that I just would hope to help the person not literally jump off the ledge
Hmm.
and just conclude it all. And so I appreciate when God does, he just does what he do best. And he'll take over. And I always put him first anyway, regardless
Got
of
to.
whoever's sitting before me. And I always appreciate him for opportunity to speak through me for the persons, or hear and see how he's going to work it out for them, and get the testimonies later.
Awesome. Now you have a website, www.balancelifemindset.com.
Yes.
They will find all the resources and things that you
Yeah.
provide there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
It is where you thought you would be. You
I
look back
did.
on your journey.
For some reason, there was a place and where I was sitting one day.
Mhm.
I was working at a particular company, and I was sitting at the desk, and I wrote down, what did my life look like in 20 years, or in
Okay.
10 years? Or no, I probably put a 5-year plan. And in on the paper I wrote, I desire to be a doctor. And I
Awesome.
actually put psychologist as the
Wow.
doctor. And that was even before I started my bachelor's degree.
That's
So
amazing.
I had a high school diploma, and I remember being asked by a woman that she was
Hmm.
putting on a conference, for a career development conference. And so that was my area. I liked working with people with careers. And so I went to the conference. But before I went, her administration had called me and said, "Can you send in your credentials and your education?" And so
Hmm.
I sent in my resume, and it had my high school diploma, and of course, all of my musical background. I was being professionally trained by highly trained musicians, even to the point of a guy named Misha Kotler. He directed the Detroit Symphony Orchestra,
Oh
so
wow.
I was his protege.
And you
And so
serious about it?
yeah, yeah, and I had that on my resume. And so when I sent that in
Hmm.
to the young lady, she called me back and she says, "Oh, I mean, so I was wondering about um your other education. Like, I mean, I'm thinking like she wanted to say, I mean, do you got a bachelor's or any type of
Uh-huh.
training or anything?" And I said, "No, I mean, I sent in my resume. That's, you know." And
Hmm.
so she said, "Oh, okay." And so I was one of the presenters at the conference. So
Wow.
when I got to the conference, I was sitting up on a platform.
Hmm.
On this particular platform, there were doctors, there were MBA persons with MBAs, and
Hmm.
very professional people. And even at the time, there's a newscaster, Carolyn Clifford. I think she was the moderator. So it was on a big platform, and so I was thinking, I'm looking on the platform. I'm like, okay, so I mean, I'm Janice Newby. So when people would introduce themselves, it was attorney this and doctor that, and
Not overwhelming.
I was,
I hear you.
and it was just going on, and I'm sitting there like, and I'm Janice Newby, and I'm going to work with people in my workshop, and they were given what their workshop was going to be on, and so
Hmm.
I had everything together. It was actually, and when it was hundreds of high school
Wow.
students, it was like about 100 and 200 seniors. But
Okay.
my workshop was the best, they said, hands down.
Nice.
So I was like, wow, I was so happy to hear all the surveys and all of that. But that
Hmm.
inspired me at that time and said, I'm going to go back to school. And it
Hmm.
encouraged me, it inspired me. And I started the bachelor's program and finished. And then I said, I'm going to go on for my master's. And now I'm
Okay.
going to go on for my doctorate. And so I would say probably about 8 years ago, I should say, I put on this big conference.
Hmm.
And the woman that asked me to come on that platform, now she's like big time now. She's all over the
Okay.
world. But she I wanted to present her with an award at my conference.
Mm-hmm.
And I let everybody know it was because this woman right here, she planted a seed by allowing me to sit on a platform with all the to-dos and
Mm-hmm.
you want to know. And here I was still up there on the stage as a person you really want to know. But now I'm a person that you really want to know. And so I told her, I said, so I'm
Okay.
presenting her with this award. And I loved it. It was just so
Awesome.
beautiful. And I was just saying, Lord, I just never knew. You never know how far He's going to take you, but you just continue to say yes. And that's
That's
what I
true.
did. I just continued to say yes. And
I can
continue.
remember being a custodian at Wayne State, and I used to work on the Institute of Garmentology, studied elderly people for. And everybody got doctors, and some of the people that didn't, they just worked there. They would talk about, you don't be nervous working on all these people. Like, dude, they just got it before I got it. If you put 5, 10 years in, you can have the same doctor. You can do it too. So don't be intimidated by no one cachet. You just ain't got yours yet. Grind like they
That's
did, and
right.
you'll get it.
That's right. And I would say more than anything, just know, trust that you will be where you should be,
Mm-hmm.
and trust in the process of it, and just continue to move forward.
And that's the
Um,
that's the part, that process. You start getting weary, like I ain't there yet, but you might be that close and don't realize it. You can't quit.
that's right. You may be closer than you think, and I appreciate it. Again, I always say to God, I thank Him for making me beautifully flawed, because I know I'm not flawless, but He's
Mm-hmm.
okay with the way that He created me to be. So that if you are not sure what you're supposed to be doing and you keep looking to Him, He will continue to guide and lead you as well as direct you. So you're not walking around aimlessly. If you're looking to Him, He'll show you direct direction. And a lot of times it's really what you're already doing. And you just continue to expand, continue to evolve. And so wherever you find
Mm-hmm.
yourself at now, and you're asking God to increase or open up the floodgates or expand your territory, then he'll still allow the territory to be expanded, but it's in His timing. So you
Mm-hmm.
trust His timing, and it's perfect. It'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter when you finish.
When I look at this journey I'm on, I can understand better now that when I was coming up, I was I viewed the world very different. So I felt awkward around some of my friends because I wasn't always into the stuff they was into. I'm more a little, I guess, intellectual about stuff. But being on, well, he had to kick me in the butt to get on this path to help you find a purpose and reach out to amazing individuals doing awesome in their careers. I'm starting to see now you who you are so you can navigate all these amazing different fields that I encounter of what people have done great stuff in to engage them to help others find a purpose. So I'm starting to
Yeah,
see, okay, this why it was a little weird when you was younger because you weren't like everybody, but this is why. This is what you're doing right now to help others. Cool.
absolutely. Yeah.
Last question. What advice do you have for someone trying to find their purpose?
I would say to the person looking to, if they believe they're looking to find purpose,
Mm-hmm.
is to actually again look to God and ask Him to show them, because I do believe we all are birthed into the world with purpose. So when you look to the Creator, when you look to God and you ask Him, it's a matter of listening. And actually, even I'll even give some practical steps of taking a
Okay.
pen and paper and writing down where you believe you should go, and writing that vision, almost saying,
Mm-hmm.
as I did, I sat at this desk
Mm-hmm.
years before it came to fruition and said, I don't know. I just wrote down I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a psychologist. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this. And the vision came to pass. So writing it down, even if you think you don't know,
Mm-hmm.
write down as much as you do believe you do know, and
Okay.
look around you and see even persons that have been around you. I know in second grade, for instance, you have career day. And so some of the students will have their parents come in, or somebody come in and is doing something. And that's just career, though. I mean, the purpose that God gives even trumps far beyond that. I have three dimensions of what I would say defines work. I'm loving the work that I do. But I would say
Mm-hmm.
the first dimension of work is having a job. But the person that desires a job, of course, they may be looking at a job for a paycheck, which is great
Mm-hmm.
because you should be able to be responsible and take care of things financially. But then
Mm-hmm.
it's that next step, second dimension of a person that says, I would like a career. And then the career pathing would be, okay, so maybe I can get some training in
Mm-hmm.
this career, or maybe there's possibility for promotion or increase. But then it's that third dimension that if a person desires to be at this third dimension, it's the career call. And it's where you can look to God and say, where was I called to? So I would say today that I am actually walking out what I'm called to do. So I actually love what I'm doing as it relates to work. There was in the garden in Genesis, the
Mm-hmm.
first job that was given to man was to till the garden.
Mm-hmm.
As Adam was tilling the garden, it was not meant for it to be labor intensive. And so work does not have to be labor intensive when you're doing
Mm-hmm.
what you love. It's almost just this is what I was called to. And so God will give a level of grace to you as
Okay.
and however far you go in it, he'll give you the grace to handle it. It's like I can do this in my
Mm-hmm.
sleep because I'm thinking about, okay, what is another perhaps strategy that will be before this person? But again, whoever comes before me, again, I never tie myself into the situation only
Mm-hmm.
because I want to be open to receive specific of what this person needs. And so that's part of the call. And I again, you when you know what the call is, it's really what you've already been doing. I've been a teacher from day one. Just this is what my call is. But I'm still doing that in the form of counsel.
Many Bible study for you on Saturday. It's awesome. Any other things you're doing you want to promote?
Oh, just all of what I've stated.
Now you
And
mentioned
I
a
would say,
podcast in earlier talks today.
well, yeah, I have podcasts, Real Men Talk. I have a Balanced Life podcast where I interview persons at anywhere. I could be anywhere, and I'll turn on my recorder, and I'll say, "Can
Mm-hmm.
you express to me what balance means to you in your life as it is today?" And I could be eating, I could be at an event, I could be visiting someone in the hospital.
Okay.
I can be at a family function. I could be at an outing, and I'll just ask persons, whoever is sitting around, what does balanced life mean to you? So I love that podcast. I love that platform. And again, I'm a writer, I'm an author, I'm a speaker. So it's I just
Awesome. You froze. Technology. Well, hopefully we get her back. There's been some great information to help someone who might want to go in this direction. Some steps to take. See if Dr. Jan can come back. But definitely want to let you know that 3 dimension is pretty awesome for someone that's asking why they're here, what they should be doing. Those are some good ways to figure out your purpose and to keep going. Want to thank her for doing the show. Want to thank the psychotherapist, trauma informed specialist, and owner, CEO of the Anger Doctor, Balanced Life, Mind, and Well-Being, Dr. Jan M. Newby, for doing the show. We on location, downtown Detroit, Renaissance Center. Do my best to cater to the guests. Middle Ground JLE, where we treat you like family. So what we try to do. Hope everybody enjoy their weekend. Also, JLE World is out in digital stores. My first album, the JLE Experience. My hashtag Musician Thought Books series is out on Amazon.com. Check it out. Until next time, hope everybody have a safe, blessed, and wonderful weekend. And do something for yourself. Get some me time to recharge for next week to get after your purpose.